If you're going to sell stuff online or offline, you're going to have problems with customers from time to time. Whether the customer is right or the customer is wrong, you and your customer service team have to learn how to deal with this and be able to do what we call de-escalating customer service issues. Brian's going to explain more about how we do that.
Yeah, one of the things that I see a lot of businesses don't do the best essentially jobs at, especially if you outsource your support. I see a lot of guys have like a black and white answer. If there's any issue, they tend to think like the customer's wrong, whereas the customers always think that they're right on everything. And I just think there's a lot of ways where you can basically de-escalate and make everyone walk away happy, and no one's either like losing or winning, how both sides can basically win. And there's a few ways that you can go about this. Obviously, first and foremost, you want to make sure you have great customer service. If you have really, really bad ones, you're going to cause a lot of issues. If you're hard to reach, it's going to be even worse. But one thing that you can do first and foremost is if a customer reaches out and they're upset for whatever reason, they're upset because maybe, think that like your product didn't work the way they thought, or they didn't get something that, they thought they should have gotten, or there was any issue. First and foremost, you want to basically empathize with them, or you want to have your support people empathize with them, apologize. Don't just do like a copy and paste answer that, looks like, they don't really care. But you want to see like, hey, what can you do to kind of give them kind of what they want, while not necessarily like basically giving in everything. So here's an example. If someone's like really, really upset, they write in and they want a refund, and let's say they're outside the refund period. So if they just missed the refund period by like, a day or two, or, a week or so, we always go by the rule like, hey, if they're pretty close, let them have it. It's usually not worth a big fight there. But if there's a guy that's like way outside it, like let's say you have a 30-day refund period and there's a guy that asks for, a refund, 4 or 5 months later, or 6 months later. We've had guys even like 2 or 3 years later on a 30-day refund period, they'll basically ask if they can get a refund because, they haven't used it, or, whatever it might be. The natural instinct of a lot of support people and also business owners is just to say, no, you're outside the period, you have a 30-day refund period, and that's that. The problem is that can piss off a lot of the customers, because like they're being told just, no. So they're not basically getting what they want. And it kind of sets it up where, hey, they might try a chargeback, or they might not like you, or they might leave a bad review about you. Oftentimes they might threaten that. So what I do, even if they're in like a threatening mood or anything like that, I try to put myself in their shoes and say, hey, they just feel that they've been wronged for whatever reason. And they feel that, hey, they want to get something out of it. They're shooting for like a refund. So here's what I would do. Let's say someone asks for a refund, 4 or 5 months after the refund period, and they say it's because, they haven't used it, and now that they have, they don't like it, or it's not a good fit. And your excuse is, hey, they're 4 or 5 months outside the refund period. So instead of just saying no, you're outside the period, you could say it like, or basically train your support to say, hey, I see you bought this on this date. We have a 30-day refund period. Looks like you're like 4 or 5 months past that. But here's what I can do for you if you agree that this works. So since you're unhappy or haven't had the time to basically try this out, if it's like a subscription, you can basically give them like 1 or 2 months extra free to basically try it out, so you don't have to pay. Or if it's like a one-time product and you have something else that you can send them, especially like, especially if it's like a digital thing, you can say, hey, I see you're like way past the refund period on this, but to help you out, I would be happy to give you 3 months of this free, or I'd be happy to throw in, this essentially book here, or this service or product, or this offer here, something that basically costs you little or nothing. But to them, they might be like, oh, well, that's kind of neat, because deep down they know they're way outside the refund period. They know they're kind of in the wrong, but they're trying to be angry at you. So if you come back and you're like super nice, they'll oftentimes kind of tone that down and be like, okay, that makes sense, sure. Or if they're upset with the product and they feel like they can't get the product to work the way that they want, again, you can offer a free bonus. If it's a subscription, can be like a free month or 2 or 3, but you can also say, hey, what is it exactly that you found difficult, or what is it exactly that you're basically disappointed in, and I'll see if we can do something to address that or fix that. That can also work because if you address their main issue, which might be like, hey, they tried to open up, let's say, the ebook in a certain file and it wouldn't open. You might find that, hey, there's an easy way where they might not have a PDF viewer or something like that. Or they might say like, hey, I couldn't get this basically software tool of yours to work. And it might just be that like, hey, there's something you can easily help them with to basically address that. Or if it's, let's say, a physical product, they might just say like, hey, it basically broke. And they're upset. And it might be that even they broke it or they dropped it and felt like it shouldn't break. Well, if it's something that costs you like, $5, it's worth shipping them another one at that point, because again, they'll walk away happy because it might only cost you $5. You might have charged them basically 20 or 30, so there's still basically profit there, and they might walk away perfectly happy at that point and say, man, well, I didn't get the 20 or 30 bucks back, but I got another $5 product. I mean, they don't know it's $5, they think it's basically 20 or 30. I got another product out of it. They'll walk away very, very happy with that right there. So again, anything you can do to throw in like an additional offer or an additional bonus can definitely de-escalate it. And anything you can also do to try to really understand what it is that they're upset about, what it is that they didn't like, and if it's something that you can fix, try to fix that. And again, a lot of those people will say, well, if that's fixed, awesome, great, they'll stay. If it's a subscription where, again, they didn't have time to watch it or do whatever, you can basically add in like, a couple extra months there. A lot of those people will walk away perfectly happy. I'd say, probably 3 out of 4 times, basically doing one of those few things can really entirely de-escalate the entire thing and turn an upset client into a fairly happy one. Or at least a neutral one where they're not upset with you right there. And worst comes to worst, at the same time, if it's basically a customer that is being a pain in the butt and they're yelling and swearing and you can't essentially de-escalate it, they're threatening like all sorts of stuff, and you don't think they have anything to stand on and that they're just basically being a pain, at some point you have to realize and think like, hey, is it really worth the fight here? Is it worth the consequences if they try to go out of their way to make your life miserable? If you have a cheaper product, I'd say just giving them a refund is probably fine right there. I know there's a lot of people that kind of stick basically to their guns on that, but I think over time that can cause a lot of issues, especially as you grow. So that's just a few things to essentially keep in mind there. But first and foremost, don't just write back saying, if someone asks for a refund, don't just say, no, you're outside the period, that's that. Because again, that just upsets people. Offer something else. Or if someone writes in with an issue and they're upset, again, try to empathize, ask what exactly the issue is, see if you can fix it, and be basically prompt on the reply. And third, if they say they didn't get the product, or they say they didn't get an email, or they didn't get a response, empathize with them first. Don't just say, well, it's automatically sent, well, we know you got it, here's proof, blah, blah. You can say that stuff later, but you first and foremost want to empathize with them and say, well, that sucks that you didn't get it. On our side, it shows that it was sent on this date, or it says it was delivered on this day, but I'd be happy to send you another one, or I'd be happy to, fix it this way or that way. And you'll find, again, 9 times out of 10, that will solve it, right there. And that, I find if you stay on top of that, you'll have a lot less issues. You'll have a lot less bad reviews. You'll have a lot more good ones. And oftentimes you can turn an angry customer into a happy one because he felt heard, felt responded to. So with that, guys, make sure to stay on top of that. Make sure to de-escalate all those issues and turn, an angry client perhaps not only into a happy one, but one willing to pay you more in the future as well. So if you like this video or any of our others, make sure to like and subscribe below. And of course, stay tuned for our next video, all focused on how you as an entrepreneur can make more money in your business, invest better, and make better decisions and such there. So with that, I hope to see you on the next video. Take care.